This is Terry Garner with Investors in Action, and I want to talk to you today about lien position. Now, if you're new to real estate investing, you might not know exactly what a lien is. All a lien is a claim to a piece of property, so that when that property sells, all of the liens that are against it are going to get paid off first, and then whatever is left over is going to go to the homeowner or to the seller of the property. Position is the order in which those liens get paid off. Now, typically, liens are put in order by the date of which they were filed, so they go in chronological order. Now, there are some exceptions to that, and the reason why position is very important, we're going to talk about this, is because let's say that property sells for less than the total amount of liens that are owed. Then you're in a situation where the property is underwater and you have to do a short sale. Or in other words, go to each one of those lien holders and convince them to take less than the total amount of what they are owed. Now, the lien holders that are in more of a senior position are going to have more clout than those that are in a more junior position or filed later in the timeline. So it's very important to really understand all of the liens that are against the property and in what position they are in. So let's look at an example. We'll talk about some of those exceptions. Let's say that you are going to buy a home and it's worth $100,000. We're just going to make a little scale here from 0 to 100,000. So when you go out to buy this home, you get a loan, a mortgage typically. And that loan is for $80,000. Now, what the bank does is they file a separate document that is actually called a mortgage in some states. In other states, it's called a deed of trust. Here in California, where I live, it's actually called a deed of trust or a trust deed, same thing. So the lender, the bank, is going to file, depending on the state, either the mortgage or the deed of trust. And that document, they go down to the county recorder, it's recorded. It is now recorded against the property as a lien. So now let's say some time goes by and you do some work to the house. You say you have a new bathroom, you repair the roof, and you have a contractor come in and do all of that, and you owe that contractor $20,000. But you've run out of money. You have to send Susie to college, you've got bills to pay, and you don't quite have the 20 grand to give to the contractor. But meanwhile, your house has appreciated in value, always a good thing, and it's doubled, and it's now worth $200,000. Give a little roof to our house. So you go to another bank and you take out a second loan on the property worth $20,000. And your plan is to use that to pay off the contractor. But again, life happens. A lot of other things get in the way. Let's say you never actually pay the contractor. You use the money to do other stuff. Even though that this loan was filed in the next position, in the next order, chronological date-wise, on the property, that contractor can come back and file what's called a mechanic's lien. And because the work on the mechanic's lien was done prior to when that second loan was filed, that mechanic's lien takes a higher position. In other words, it goes in front of it. We'll call this the first. So that even though you bought the house, the first position loan, the mortgage or deed of trust was filed as a lien against the property, you had the work done, but there wasn't a lien on it yet. You went out and got the second loan, they filed a lien. Now that contractor, after the fact, goes back and records a lien. That will automatically go back to the time frame as to when that work was done, even though it happened before he filed the lien against it. Okay, so time goes on and you have a homeowners association and you haven't been paying your association dues. So the homeowners association is going to file a lien on your property, an HOA lien of say $5,000. Then let's say you also owe money for child support and you ran into trouble and you can't pay that. Your ex takes you to court. The judge gives you a judgment saying, you know, you must owe this. You've got a house here that still has some equity in it. And so we're going to file a judgment against your property. And let's say it's 10 grand. And so this is a judgment. Make sure I spell it correctly. Okay, so now these are all liens that have been recorded against your house. So if you were to sell the house for $200,000, all of these would get paid off. That looks like it adds up to $135,000. So $135,000 would go to pay off all the liens. The balance, $65,000 of equity that you have in the house, would go to you as the seller for purchasing it. Now there is another example of, well, a couple examples of things that we haven't talked about here. When you go to sell the house, if you still owe property taxes, those property taxes, even though they haven't been recorded officially as a lien, will automatically jump down to the bottom here. And it doesn't matter how big or small they are. It could be $500. Let's just say it's $1,000. They will automatically take first priority. Any government liens will automatically go to the top. Likewise, let's say there was a city lien. Let's say they gave you a violation for trash in the front yard. That will go on here as well, a city lien. And if you haven't paid your IRS taxes, IRS, being federal, actually goes to the very top of the list. So government always gets paid off first, federal, then state, then county, and then city, in that order. And then after that, you're going to go back to the priority that of which they were filed, again with mechanics lien jumping in to the time frame of whenever the work was being done. Now there is one other thing that we need to talk about. There are several states where there is an exception that the homeowners association lien will jump to the top and come in right here. Now they still don't supersede any of the government liens that were on the property, but in these states, they're called super lien states, that HOA lien will automatically jump to the top. Now in states that aren't super lien states, it stays on the date that it was recorded. It doesn't adjust at all. But let me show you, I've written them down here. These are the HOA super lien states. Make sure that's in camera. So you've got Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Colorado, Connecticut, Florida, Massachusetts, Minnesota, Nevada, New Jersey, New York, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Washington, and Washington, D.C. So I hope this really helps you understand how important knowing lien position is, whether you're a buyer of a property, whether you're the seller of the property, or maybe you're a lender on the property providing a loan. It's very important as an investor to really understand what liens are against the property and then in what order and how big they are and in what order they're going to get paid. So hope this helps. Thanks so much and good luck with your investing.